show you about the platters and maybe a box if we have time. But first of all, the whistles, we're just going to create the cavity of the whistle with just half of a styrofoam egg that I have covered with fabric. And I did that with just cutting it out and with a glue gun. And that covering it with a fabric, the clay will not stick to it. And whenever you remove it, you won't have a problem getting it out. And so I just need enough clay to cover this little styrofoam. There's two parts to it. There's a top and a bottom. So with the top, because of the firmness of this, you can build anything you want to on top of this egg form, and it will not collapse. And you do not take it off until you get through building your. If you're going to build some kind of little animal, you don't take you do not take it off until you get your little animal finished or whatever you're going to do.
What was that you were just brushing on there?
It was just a little bit of water.
Oh.
And you'll need to keep a little bit moist. And I'm going to cut this excess out. And this is just some examples of little animals that you can do. It's a turtle, but this is an ocarina because it has 4 holes in it. You can do 6, but I did 4.
Can you make it? Can you whistle it?
I can whistle it. Let me find the holes.
Oh.
I don't know how to play.
Wow.
Just put it here for a second so it shows
Okay.
up.
Oh, okay. And of course you can build all kinds of little animals. And this is built with the same thing with the little egg shape. This is the sphere. It's just round. And if you find something that you want, just so you can find something that you know will hold that cavity without it collapsing, that's the main thing. And this is just a polar bear. And a friend of mine sent a card and had this polar bear with a little baby bear sleeping on top. And I said, oh God, that makes a good. That makes a cute. Just you can get your ideas anywhere, you know. It's just a plain whistle.
Oh.
And this is an Indian phase. I was in the Indian phase at one time. I guess everybody goes through phases. And I did faces and oh, I'm sorry.
Sure. Put them down.
And it's a face. And this is a different type of firing. It's raku. And they do that usually on the outside with a gas burner. And then after it reaches a certain temperature, they'll take it out and then smother it with sawdust or maybe clippings of shredded paper or something, and then the smoke all gets in here, and that creates well, of course you put a glaze on it if you want, but that smoke, and it turns it all black all over. It's the smoke that gets into the clay and it really does make a neat, different type of firing.
Right there. Yeah, there you go.
But I love raku because I like the rustic, or to me this looks almost like bronze. And it's just another way of doing. There's so many different ways. It just your interest. You know, if you're interested, you can just find a million different ways of doing things.
Wow.
And this is oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm thinking that you're going to look up there. But this is a whistle flute, and I made this one with the dowel by forming the clay around the dowel, and I put a horse on the end, so it would just sort of make it a little bit more interesting. And you could put I did make some with birds and different things, any kind of thing that you want to put on. But whenever you do it, when you're doing that, you keep the clay on the dowel so it won't collapse until you finish it. And with the holes, I just use different straws, for different sizes. And if you find it's not quite big enough, you want to vary these holes, different sizes so you can get your different sounds. And if you find your straws are just a little bit too much the same, you can just sort of swiggle it around and you can increase the size of that hole. But this is but it does have a little bit different sound. But and the sound too, the different if the smaller the cavity, the higher the pitch, and so and it varies. And whenever you do make them, you can blow them, but whenever they're fired, they might have just a little bit higher pitch because the shrinkage of the clay. And that's why if you want to really make instruments, you would need to sort of experiment a little bit, make 2 or 3, and after they're fired, try them out and see. And if it's not the tone that you need, well, you can increase the size or increase the holes. You just have to experiment that way. But I don't, like I say, I don't know how to
How do
play.
you keep it from collapsing when it's being fired? You
Oh,
don't leave the dowel in, do you?
No, the clay gets to be sort of, if you handle it carefully, it won't collapse. It can't, excuse me. It will, if you put something on top of it or something, but no, like after I make this, it's pretty thick. A little bit thicker than I meant to leave it. But it won't collapse.
Well, Doris,
Yes?
do you have a waiting time between the time that you form it and the time you
Fire it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's got to get completely dry. And you can paint on this while it's wet if you want to, or you can wait till it's dry and paint on it. Sometimes I do one and sometimes I don't. But there's different kinds of paint, and I will show you some examples of the paint that you this is just an example of different colors. You can get almost every color but bright red. Fire engine red you can't, but you can get a fire engine red and a glaze. And that's how I got the fire engine red with the roof. I put a sort of a red and it burned out, and so I put a glaze on the roof here to get the fire engine red. But it just red is sort of difficult. It wants to burn out real quickly. And this is what they call an undercoat, and you can get almost every color in that, like I say, except the fire engine red. And these are low fire undercoats. And
Where do you get your paints?
you know what? I go to Arcata,
Okay.
and they do have. I don't think Rika has this. She sells clay, and I think she sells tools, but I don't think she sells glaze or undercoat. I'm sure she don't.
What's the brand of that paint? Is it just for
It's
clay?
Duncan. Duncan.
Just for clay?
Oh, excuse me. The clay. You know what? I don't know what the brand of the clay is. It doesn't even have it on the.
No, I meant, is that paint only for clay?
Only for, yeah, this is for undercoat.
Firing.
This is like, I used a black for this. It's underneath this glaze. It was a black out of a bottle like this. Only it was black.
You could probably order those from an artist magazine, couldn't you?
Yes, you
Craft
can.
magazine.
Yes, you can. I don't know if Chief Joe has it or not. You can. There is. I didn't think about bringing a ceramic catalog. I did have one at home, but yeah, you can order. I don't know if they have. But anyway, Bill, I don't want my time to go by too much. I'm going to just start this real quick, and I thought maybe I'd just sort of start maybe a rabbit and some kind of little animal so you could see, like putting the head on, and you just roll it out any way you want to. There's no wrong or right way to, no wrong way to do it. I mean, it depends on what you yourself want to do, but you just stick the head on with a little bit of, you know,
Are you making the bears, or what are you making?
no, I was going to make a sort of a rabbit,
Oh, rabbit.
because it would just sort of be a little bit more quicker. And you need to, whenever you're putting it together, you need to sort of score it and either use this clay is pretty wet, so I probably wouldn't even need to use a slip. A slip is a water and clay mixed together where it's real slurpy, and you just put a little bit on it, and it just sort of acts like a glue to. A rabbit may not be looking much like a rabbit. I just want to give you an idea of what you can do.
We won't hold you to perfection.
Okay, good. And you can sort of dampen it as you go by it, the way you feel like, when you feel like you need it. But I used to do this with little kids, and they would build some. They would surprise you with some of the things they came up with. They were really cute with some of the things they did. And you can just find that tools is something that you can find a lot of kitchen tools that you use. Like I use this. This is a kitchen tool. I think it's a pastry roller, and I found that at a one in the cooking department, and I thought it'd be great. And then I use that so much. And there's just so many things that you can just use right out of your kitchen. Like the popsicle sticks, you know, that I use for the. Try to hurt
One
this.
of my favorite things to use was a garlic press.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, to make hair. Yeah. I don't have one of those, and I've got to run across one of those one of these days. Yeah, you don't. I won't do much detail, and with and there's so one of my favorite things about working with clay is doing different kinds of impressions with different, like leaves, and like with some of the platters, I use those old-fashioned doilies that nobody hardly uses anymore. So I run across them, and I try to, and molds that the best place to find things like that is like thrift stores, where you might find a big platter that maybe you wouldn't want to use yourself because it's sort of out of date and doesn't appeal to anybody. But if they make great molds, you just sort of roll out your clay and drape it over the, the platter or the. I think with this, I think this was the top of a styrofoam cooler. That's what this was. So. And the Indian. And with the Indian picture, that's sort of another thing you can do. You can just, with the Indian woman and the child, it was a photograph that my brother-in-law took whenever he was working at an Indian, I think on the Navajo reservation in Arizona. And I always thought I liked that just because the horse was paying attention, but the Indian woman and the kids weren't. But they were, ideas, anything like that can come up, and that sort of makes you sort of think, hey, that'd be make a night. I'm not going to go too far with this rabbit because I want you to. I want to make sure that I got enough time to make a couple of impressions with platters and things. Rolled out this clay a little bit thicker than I like, so this thing is one of the most handy things I've ever gotten hold of with clay. And with the whistle part, it is. I know whenever I started to do this demo, I talked to Greta, and she was saying she wanted to do this with her grandchildren. So all you need is just a couple of. I tell the kids, hey, roll out something like a couple of pancakes, like your mom would make for you, and they sort of understand that sort of thing. And you need a covering for the top and then a thing for the bottom. So, and the popsicle stick. You need. This is to make the tube that blows the wind through. And you will need to score this on each side, so because you're going to have to secure that, so it will not move once you get that tube made. And you want it to stick to that clay there. And it is just all you're going to do is just be making a little tube there and make sure this is pressed down and it does not with the whistle flute. I made the tube just a little bit differently. It's and I can show you what that and I made the tube, and then I made the I made the long whistle, and then I made the tube to where it would blow. You made it separately, and and just insert it, just sort of.
So what did you just do there?
I cut it out where that that's going to be where the air comes through.
Oh.
And this is just where the tube is. And can you see that where it's?
Uh-huh.
And that's going to be where the air whistle comes through. And it doesn't matter where you put as long as it goes through there. And sometimes like I always put the whistle going through the tail. It sort of seems the best way. There's going to be a cotton tail there on the back side, so I'm going to put a little something there. That gives you an idea of what now everybody sees this. This is pushed down good, so it will not come undone whenever you blow on it. And make sure that little hole is cut there, so the air can flow through there. And then whenever we get this part put on there, we will slant that hole on the other side, so because that's what splits the air to make the sound. And leave you need to leave the popsicle stick in there until you get all through until you just get ready to blow to see if it works. Another little tool I found that I think I got this at a Tupperware party or something, and it's supposed to be a comb cleaner or something, but see, you can just find also, but it makes a great tool to score the clay with, so I never used it for anything.
Kind of slant it towards the camera here.
Okay. And this is
Yeah, the bottom where you're scoring.
yeah.
Yeah, there you
But you can find all kinds of little things that helps you out with that sort of thing.
You put some story on it.
Yeah, and make sure you don't forget to take this out, because at times I've forgot to take this out.
Oh, I didn't like that.
That happens. And we're just going to push this down. We don't press on this part because that is the part that we want to keep that cavity in there. Press it down good so it can, and we're just going to cut that out around it. You don't want to go too close because you don't want to cut into the cavity. Just leave maybe a quarter of an inch there or something. And clay doesn't go bad. You just reuse it, but it does take some work to work all the bubbles out and all the air out of there. So you need to knead it real good, like it's to get all the bubbles and everything out. And you push this down a little bit more and make sure that
Yeah, if you wanted to say make this, but not make a whistle out of it, just make it a, like
could,
a
yeah.
design, would you still use the, little, ball and take it out?
yeah,
when
you could do that with that. If you didn't want to make a whistle, you just
Yeah.
want to make a little animal, and
Yeah,
maybe, but before you fire it, take a little popsicle, a straw or something, and make a hole in it somewhere,
Okay.
so the air can escape because
so it doesn't
yeah,
blow up.
it'll blow up, yeah.
So if you're making a whistle, do you put the air holes in after you've removed the mold?
Yeah, well, I cut the little air hole.
No, I mean the ones for your fingers for like the ocarina.
Oh, you know
The
what?
top.
Yeah, I did cut those out.
later?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I did cut those out while I had, because I didn't.
Yeah.
I can cut them out now, but
it won't collapse?
if you're very careful, it won't.
Okay.
Now, sometimes you have to mess with them a little bit. Sometimes you get them to whistle. Sometimes I do have trouble. I've had trouble, but most of the time I can get them to. It's just a matter of lining up that air where it'll come out like it's supposed to. And remember not to make this too large, because if it's too large, the air comes out too much, and it doesn't split in there like it should.
Doesn't whistle.
Yeah. And that is just you sort of cut a slant in the whistle a hole there, and let's see, hopefully it'll whistle. And let's see if we can get. I usually cut the holes
With the egg in it.
with the egg in there so it won't collapse, but you can, because these straws are so light and airy, you can cut holes in it. And the ocarina is, like I say, just a whistle with the. And sometimes the clay won't come out, but you know what? What you'll have is a rattler and a whistle.
Yes. Like a regular whistle does.
And if you do want to make a rattler, out of something, a cavity like that, what I do is just like roll up the ball just like a little marble, and then I wrap them in a little piece of toilet paper and put them in there, and that does not allow the little ball to stick somewhere inside the cavity because of the paper around the little, and you can make a rattler, like something that'll rattle too.
Can you put little stones, little rocks?
You know what? I've never tried that. Because I don't have my own kiln, I've never tried to do rocks inside something like that because I'd be afraid that, it might explode or something. I don't know if rocks.
And it might break it while you're
Yeah.
shaking it too.
Well, I don't know. But have you ever tried that? You to put stones in the kiln? I've never tried to put stones. But let's see. I've got this. If anyone wants a copy of this, I'll mention this before I'm thinking about it. This is directions on making an ocarina, but they make it a little bit differently than I do. I take the easy way, and this is where they form a ball of clay, and then they scoop out the clay with maybe a spoon or whatever. Say this is a ball of clay, and they cut it in half, and then they scoop it out. And I think to me that is sort of a lot more work than mine.
Yeah,
But
you do it better.
But if anybody would want to want a copy of it, they're free to do that. And there's also if you want a copy, this is about a side blowing flute. I think it's side blowing flute, yeah. And if anyone wants a copy of it, they can get a copy. And this is the whistle flute. This is similar to this. Only I think I made my the blow part just a little bit differently. But if anybody wants to copy any of these, well, they're free to do so. But
Do they?
I don't know. But see, you can just, if you're careful and not, you can put holes in there like that. Different. I think I only got 3 sizes of but it gives you an idea of what you do. Clay is something that, you know, you just need to experiment with. It's just tons of, different clay, it acts differently in different glazes. It's just unbelievable what there is, what happens to different things. So, see, that, you can put holes in them without it collapsing if you.
See how it feels?
See, I may have moved the whistle.
What kind of clay is that? Is that Rod's bog?
This is, I got it from over at the Talking Crow's studio, and it's a low-fire clay, but I forgot what she called it. They had a name, but she could tell you. She said it was her. Her assistant said it was her favorite way of doing her work on the wheel. So.
Will she borrow the stuff that has the painting on it?
No, she doesn't have that stuff.
She doesn't have that kind of gem?
This is a raku glaze, and this is a was just painted. I used some of the undercoats to paint the black, and I put a little bit of white on it. I didn't need it; it's white clay.
Oh.
And this was just a brown. I think this is low fire or high fire coloring, but it's a low fire clay in this. But there's so many different ways that you can mix things.
Yeah, but will she fire it? I mean, if you
Yeah,
put the
she
low...
fires. Yes, she
Okay.
does. She does firing. Yes, she does. And we were going to see about making a platter. And is there any more questions about whistles or anything?
Oh, I have a question. When you began, you had that perfectly square slab.
Yeah.
Did you prepare that, or does it come
No,
divided slabs?
you know, you can do it by hand with a rolling pin and roll it out just like you would a pie crust, only it's a little bit more harder because the clay is, the firmness of the clay. Just try to roll it out as, you know, the thickness that you want. You might have to keep working at it to get the thickness that you want. And if you, what I found is like if I wanted a certain thickness, like you can find like a board that's 1/4 of an inch thick. I like to work with 1/4 inch when I work with slab, and I just take a couple of strips and put on, lay them beside, you know, beside of each other, and take the rolling pin, and that sort of allows you to sort of make it as thick as you want if you want to, or you can just eye it, you know, eyeball it as they say, try to get it like you want it. Yeah. But I went over to this next door and rolled it out because I didn't want to waste everybody's time by rolling it out with a rolling pin, you know. And it's a lot of, it does run a lot of work if you're going to do a lot of work, you know, in between. But with the platters, I was thinking about telling you about, now these 2 platters here, you probably have some things like this in your drawers at home because almost everybody has something put away they never use. But I found these at a thrift store. I told you thrift stores are something that you can always getting, if you want to work with clay, you can always use your imagination. But like this rose, see, all I had to do was roll it out with this little doily. I got the right side, yeah. And you've got your impressions, and you just crimp your edges. And I just put maybe some paper towel to make sure it was crimped. And it stayed that way a little bit, and painted it and fired it. And you know what? It was as simple as it could be. And all you painters out there, you know what? I know you got that bug. And hey, this could be another canvas.
You got this.
And with this one, it's the other platter. It was, yeah, I brought the right one. I just rolled it out, and leaf impressions are one of my favorite things. They're just real leaves, And I think, was it you that brought in the big?
That one leaf.
Yeah, that would make a wonderful platter. Just roll out that one leaf. See, when that, and that's just some ideas of what you can do, and nothing to it at all. Just roll it out and sort of, you can crimp the edges up like that, and with leaves, this type of thing or anything. And there's so many ideas that you can get. Just one idea leads to another. Something like that, and you get those little impressions or something. They're just fascinating and making picture frames and mirrors and things like that. Just out of these little plastic doilies, you know. What beautiful, etchings you can get in frames, you know. And the picture of the ladies over there, of the Victorian ladies. Yeah, this was just a placemat, and see, you just get the impression of the lace around and the flowers were here, and you put any picture you want to in it.
And then when you paint it,
Yeah, you
goes right into the little grooves.
You paint with these, and then just glaze it with these are the.
But I mean the lace part here.
Yeah, you know what? I just put a little bit of gray and sponged it on, and then sponged off the excess. And I just wanted the gray to settle into the grooves.
There.
So, and so
Beautiful.
and the picture of the Indian woman, it was just sort of like a cookie cutter type thing. I cut out.
Why don't we bring that down?
Oh, you want to bring it down?
Yeah. Put it on camera.
Okay.
Yeah. You put it.
That's pretty, that's 3D.
Yeah.
This is, I just cut it out. I rolled this out on a burlap bag. You know, one of these old feed sacks that they put animal feed in to get those ridges and everything. And there's really no end to what you can think of, everything that you can, just the burlap, and then I took the picture and on another thin piece of clay and cut it out, and you can make, I forgot what you call it. Is that relief or what you call it?
3D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, relief.
Yeah. But it's sort of a fun thing to do.
Do you sell
I like
your
that.
items?
I've sold, I made, I think 3 different ones of these. I sold 2 of these. I made 3 of these, and this I gave to my mom, and then when my mom passed away, they gave it back to me. I guess nobody wanted it. Well.
There you go. Yeah, you're on it. Why don't we show them the lighthouse too, Doris?
Oh, the lighthouse. Oh, yeah, the lighthouse. Well, this was a slab of clay again.
Show the camera.
And, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
This is slab of clay again, and I used for this mold, I used a top of a styrofoam cooler, you know, those little coolers, and just put a piece of cloth down in a piece of real thin plastic and sort of gently press it into the.
And then how did you just paint the painting freehand?
No, well, I drew it on first. And painted the way you would on
Yeah.
canvas, you know, by using the undercoats and paint it like you would anything. Watercolor is, it's most like watercolor. Because if you put it real thick like you would acrylic, it will burn. It will sort of flake and burn off. But you want to keep it fairly thin, and sometimes you will need to refire them because who knows what happens in the kiln? Because sometimes there'll be a spot to burn out.
Yeah.
You never know what happens. It's just people that work with ceramics, they know that. What did you mean?
The back.
Yeah,
It's
you know what?
amazing.
That was another. I just cut out some little squares to. Whenever I did the platter, I didn't know what I was going to put on it, and what I just cut out these little. You can make any kind of shape you want to, and then I put one of these little tiny straws under here and kept the holes so I could hang it if I wanted to. Or you can either hang it or put it on a.
Mm-hmm.
But there's.
Yeah, show this so that they can see
Okay.
that there's a hole right
Camera.
there. See? Everybody see that on TV?
Yeah.
Whoa, good shot.
Thanks, Chuck.
Let's see. And this is an same idea with the base. You don't have to just make platters. The base is a painting base, and if you can make all kinds of different. If you want to, you can make make two of them and make a circle. But with this, I just sort of made a flat piece, and then it was just one of these things, and wrapped around a slab of clay and put a bottom in it. See, and that's another thing that you can do. And I always play for the audience.
Heard he is.
And that's all it is. And a very simple thing to do. And I rolled the doily also up here so it could get the effect flowers up here too.
Did you have to paint the inside doily or inside back?
I did
before you
glaze
put
it.
together?
It is glazed inside. If you want it to hold water, you will need it to glaze. Glaze it inside, because if you don't glaze it, it's porous and it will see through. Yeah. So
Now, real quick, did you paint the front while it was flat, and then you put it on afterwards?
I built it first before I
Okay,
painted
you
it.
built it first.
Yeah, I built it first before I painted. These particular ones, I did fire them first before I painted them, but you can paint them, and no, I didn't either. I painted them and then fired them, and then put the glaze, fired them again when I put the glaze on it. Because, but you can paint them before you fire them. It's and then that works out better, I think, is like to paint them whenever it's still green like that. Because if you have something like if the paint happens to burn out a certain place, say one of the flowers got to be really light, and it didn't have the it looked out of place because you can put more paint in there before you glaze it, but after you glaze it, you can't add any more color unless you put a color glaze on it. I did add more color whenever I put the red roof on there because this was glazed and it burned out with the red roof, and I think that's one of the most things about the lighthouse is that red roof. I think that's one of the things that's most charming about it. Is the red roof. So whenever it came back and the roof wasn't red, I said, so I went and got some red glaze and put the roof on and refired it. Susie, can you set that? Now I do have some leaves. Should we make some leaf impressions? You know what doilies will do.
Do you want me to get the colored leaf?
You know what? Would you like to do that?
She's
I think that's.
She was just waiting for you to ask.
Talk to you
Just
about
waiting.
that afterwards. And that, but yeah, something like, and that leaf and just crimp the edges, and it would, and it would look like a natural big leaf. And you can get lots of different colors of green and paint it green, and it would just be a beautiful serving platter, wouldn't it? Yeah. That may not be big enough, but it might be a pretty good size.
You just got me something else I'm gonna try now.
Something else to get into and spend
My
money
husband's
on.
gonna say, oh no.
Yes.
Make something else.
I have a cam that my daughter bought up, and there's something wrong with it. It doesn't, and I don't know how to work cams, so I just sort of.
You take them down here.
Yeah.
The crow.
Yeah.
Here she is.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful leaf?
Nice.
This was on the colored plan this morning, so I
Yeah,
picked it to put the eggs on top of it. It's just a single leaf.
and
That's in your yard?
and all the eggs, if there's any egg on that, it will burn out in the kiln.
I expect to see that next month
I think I-
With cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eggs would be perfect.
I'm gonna get another slab here. 'Cause I think maybe-
You like that, don't you?
Doris, have you talked about giving a workshop yet?
No,
So,
You know what, I've been,
if we put a sign-up sheet on the desk and you had enough people sign up, would that be okay?
that would be
And are you free
fine, and now, pardon me?
Tomorrow's Friday.
Oh, you know
That's
what,
usually your favorite day
no,
to.
I've gotta take my granddaughter home Friday.
No
I'll-
excuses, Doris. How
Don't
about,
let them pressure you.
would a week from tomorrow be good?
Is that,
Oh,
okay,
no, no, okay, how about
after the 4th of
after
July?
the 4th?
After the 4th, I can do
You
that, yeah.
tell us, so the.
After the 4th, yeah.
First Friday after the 4th, or maybe 2 weeks after the 4th would be better.
Either way, it doesn't matter, as long as, I've gotta do it before the 20th, because I'm going to Santa Rosa on the 20th to stay for a week or so, yeah, and so
Okay,
anytime
I'll make
between
a
the 4th
sign-up sheet.
and the
I
20th
can
is
pass
fine.
it around right now.
That's about July 10th or something.
Yes,
When you're doing a leaf, you need to pay attention to the veins, these things, the veins in the leaf, because that's what makes the, you need those veins so it'll stand out for the impressions.
Have you ever put it over a bowl so that you could get the bowl shape?
You can if
And then fire them together, the bowl and your clay on top of it?
no, I haven't tried it that way,
But it should work,
Well,
shouldn't it?
all these things, you know what, experiment with them. It takes a lot of experimenting with these things, and you know what, you can come up with some very good things.
Go ahead, go.
So I'm going to lay this,
Exactly.
and let me see what it is. I'm going to just cut out a little bit of this because it overlaps, and it would,
Yeah, I cut the rib out to make it
Oh.
lay flat.
okay, well, whenever, if you do it, if you're going to, you might want to keep the rib in there if you're going to, do it yourself again.
You just roll it with a rolling pin?
Yeah.
Can I move this? So,
Let's see. This is a wonderful leaf. Uh-oh, let's see. Sissy, would you go out and get my rolling pin out of the, I brought it just in case. It's in the back trunk. And
So you would want to keep the rib in there then?
oh, yeah.
Really?
That's what gives the impressions, yeah. And,
So after you get that impression on there, can you like embellish it? Make each leaf, the things a little bit deeper?
you know what, you probably can, and there's all kinds of things you can do to, like little different tools, like if you wanted to, scoop out a little bit more or something, or make some extra veins, and they've got these little things, and if you don't have it, I have bent like paper clips and bobby pins and things and used it for, if you don't have some, you can do all kinds of things with, a lot of different things. And some more things, I found these big leaves in the back of my yard, and things like this, you can make small dishes, like little bowls or something.
So the underneath side works the best.
Yeah.
You need the underneath, you need the veins, just look for good solid veins in the leaf. And the hydrangeas, look what nice, and you could do the hydrangeas and use the leaves and carve your own flowers in the clay, and it'd be beautiful.
Now, can you also make this ruffly like that?
We can do that, yeah, to a certain extent.
Or you can take it and do it with the, details.
Me too. It does make a.
It's contagious.
If you find a raid on your garden, you know what happened.
Yeah, they call that sidetrack.
See what wonderful impressions you get. Can you see that?
Yep.
Oh, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous.
And what we will do is
She's gonna cut it out.
I'm gonna come over to your house
Okay.
definitely.
Look at every
I'm just
picture.
teasing you, I know.
One in the middle
I
that's
do
the
miss
size of a
you.
man.
and we will just make cutouts.
Everybody's so excited they can't keep quiet. Scared those kids.
And the clay is really cheap.
Somebody's having.
That's gonna be beautiful.
Or she has.
You used to be able to get it.
But she sells it like that. Does she have her hours?
This is we leave the leaf on there while we're cutting it out, so we won't scar the.
Have you worked in clay? Oh, you'd love it. It's very cool.
This will make a wonderful serving platter. She can bring it back full of cookies sometime, like I said.
Put some more eggs on it.
Yeah. Yeah, eggs or whatever. Yeah.
Doris, do you ever do that right after you get your fingernails done?
Oh, I don't get my fingernails done. I've never. I've always been too much of a gardener and too much of a, I guess, any other thing like that. I admire those fingernails, but I said, man, oh man, I couldn't do anything with those long fingernails. I think they're beautiful, but.
I used to watch girls type with those fingernails.
And I'm going to run around the edges, sort of take some of the rough edges off and try to. I don't want to.
They type at the end of their fingernails.
And you know, this type of thing is not as perfect as what you would buy, but you know something, sometimes the imperfections is what I like most about them.
That makes them perfect.
That's when you can tell somebody took time to make it instead of it being machine made.
Yeah.
And what I'm just going to clip the edges a little bit to while that's on there, because I don't want to put my fingerprints in there.
Oh, that's right.
And can't you support that, Doris? until it dries
Experience.
some?
Well, we'll need to put it on a board or something, and I don't think, oh, I got that board, but I don't know. I got another slab of clay there. We can put it on a, Sissy, I'm going to send you back out and get some more newspaper. It's in the trunk, yeah. And if some of that newspaper sticks to it, it'll burn out whenever it's on the bottom, so you don't have to worry about that, getting everything out of it. And even if some of the leaf sticks to it, well, you can take it out.
And you could take a paper roll and put it around the edge to maintain that.
Yeah, you can do that, yeah. But
Look at that. That's beautiful.
Just imagine a whole set of that, the plates, the matching saucers.
Oh, Greta.
She's gonna be busy.
Let's do it, girl.
now is like whenever you,
Oh, look at it.
and if it's painted, you know, the color of the, see what?
Oh, look at the TV. Look at the TV.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
And
Has like
you will, and you can wait till this gets leather hard and take a little bit more of this off too. Thanks, honey. Just right here, and I know.
You can, wait a minute, she's saying something important. Listen, what did you say?
When this is,
You're a good fellow.
if you need to do any kind of thing when it's leather hard, you can take more of these imperfections off the edge here if you want to.
Oh,
So when it gets leather hard, you
Yeah.
can trim it.
If you want to, yeah. But looks like it's coming pretty
Oh, yeah.
nicely.
Kind of a
I don't
leaf
think
is
that went
that?
out any
It's
perfect.
collard greens, it's edible.
Collard? Okay.
Just collards.
No,
That's not it.
But
It's, okay, it's,
I got it.
Wash your face.
it's a Portuguese, it came from Portugal, from Azores. And the plant did, I mean, the seeds originally, and a lot of the Portuguese people in town have them in their yards, so that you eat them. I mean, it's just collards. So I have the regular ones and I have.
hey, let's get
Are you growing into these? Do you have a good
Where do you
resume?
get the seeds?
I just said they take salt.
okay, yeah.
Let's put enough, put enough butter,
Okay, watch this. Need some help?
And, you know, I was going to mention too, there's other things that you can, there's something that's called mason stains too, that you can make your, make different kinds of, I didn't mention that there are mason stains. It's, you can make up like sort of a slip, you know, out of clay, the clay that you're working with, and make it up, you know, like in, just sort of like thinner than a pancake batter, a little bit at a time, and then you put your mason stains in there. It's just sort of a colored powder, and and you can paint with a slip. It's a sort of a colored slip, they call it, and you can get all different colors with the mason stains too. I just brought a few of them in, so you can sort of know what that's all about. But I will put this over there, and one of the things we have here in Crescent City sometimes I even use roots. Like you take a root that you pull up out of the ground, and it looks like an old dead tree, and so I put that. But there's so many things that you can, like the fern. The fern does a beautiful. I'm gonna put a piece of fern and. And this is a weed, but it has a beautiful yellow flower on it. I thought it would make a very nice impression too. I'm just going to show you some of the impressions that you can make with these. And a calla lily leaf. A calla lily leaf makes a real nice impression because they got nice veins also. And this is the hydrangea.
The second.
And gives you an idea of, you know, get your creative juices going, and you can just do so many things. And
My husband's gonna kill me.
You'll be very interested. Yeah.
oh, it makes very nice impressions. I think this will make a real nice one because the veins are very strong. Look how strong they are. And
Okay.
That's very lacy looking.
Yeah.
I did some with Queen Anne's lace, and I love Queen Anne's lace with the impressions, the calla lilies. You know, you could just. I did some boxes, and I used leaves for flower petals, and I just arranged the leaves in a flower shape, and then I put another leaf on the outside, and then whenever I painted it, I painted the leaf shapes like a flower, and the leaves the green, and you know it makes a nice flower. You know, a lot of those different things like that. And is there any more questions that I could help you with?
Doris, what was you said about
A root. Oh, a root. Yeah, you can use. Sometimes, you know, I'm always looking for things like that. In fact, I got a vase out there. I used the roots from something I pulled up. Because whenever the roots, you know, it looks like an old dead tree whenever they're all spread out. And roll it into the clay, and it gives you. You can make landscapes also. And like the juniper, if you roll out the juniper, it looks like, different kinds of evergreen trees, and you sort of make a landscape. And one of my favorite things too was just a wrinkled cloth. You spread a wrinkled cloth over the clay, and I didn't even bring one today. And then roll it out, and it looks like mountains. It looks like mountains and valleys. And then you put your old red trees and your evergreens in there, and you can make a landscape.
Is that what you done with that one up there? What'd you use with that one?
No, I didn't. This is not impressions. This
Oh,
is
you just
smooth-
painted it.
Yeah,
You didn't.
it's painted. But all those things you can make a lot of cool
You
things.
could do that though with the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Is there anything else I can?